Dog ate my homework. I didn't do it. I was here last night. What happened?
Someone named Pimpy evaluated one of my videos about the Iraqi dinar and militiaman.
Iraqi dinar revaluation. Investment expert analyzes militiaman and crew. Yeah, this is going to be brutal.
Yep, it was. And this one will be too. As a big proponent of free speech, I'm totally on board with people expressing alternate opinions of anything I say. But I hope they know that when they do, they're opening themselves up to a response. He and I are about 80% aligned. And there were a lot of places where he called me a liar or an idiot, but then turned around and said the same thing I just said. So I won't cover everything, but I do think a lot of his criticisms come from a few fundamental misunderstandings.
Because the things he says about the dinar are always the same thing that these so-called experts say about the dinar.
Well, if all the experts say the same thing, there might be some merit to it. This guy debating me about investments is like someone debating a doctor about whether smoking really causes cancer. I don't exactly know why he chose to do it, but here we go.
This is the moment we've all been waiting for the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world. Let's get ready to rumble!
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
Oh, heck, I don't even want to get into the other part. I just want to jump right into this, shall we? The truth of the matter is, I agree, like he said, with most all the things he says. But here's the thing about somebody who does videos like this gentleman here. I get where he's coming from. I do believe it's from a good place. And I do agree that, well, most all the gurus out there are full of crap, and they're purposely lying and misleading people. I call them out most of the time myself. And you can tell he's not gone through all my videos, nor do I expect him to do it. But if you're going to jump all over somebody in the dinar community, then at least have the common courtesy to go back and look at his videos. Because many of the things that you're saying, I actually agree with. Such as whether or not the dinar is going to jump to a 322 rate overnight. I made the point in the video, you're talking about a 4,000 and some odd % increase in value. That's not going to happen. I do believe the currency is going to go up in increments over time. There's plenty of reasons to believe that. What you missed is all the videos in there of me breaking down why I believe the Iraqi dinar has the opportunity to really increase in value from where it's at. That's the thing about making these types of videos. A lot of times you're just generalizing. But as far as you're concerned, I mean, you seem like a nice guy. Something tells me we can hang out and drink beers and watch sports and have a good time. Outside of this, I really believe that. But let's get into the videos and hear what my friend has to say here. And let's take it from there.
Someone named Pimpy evaluated one of my videos about the Iraqi dinar.
Why do you say it like that? This is what I'm talking about when somebody hears the name and has no idea the meaning behind it. But I get it. Come on now. The word pimp is the first part of the name. So automatically people assume there's some kind of connection between being a pimp and the name Pimpy. But that's not the case. I've explained this several times. But I get where he's coming from. I've had my own listeners tell me when people first introduced you to me, why are you listening to suggestions from a guy named Pimpy? So I get it. And for the record, I try to get away from that name. I did a survey several times asking the people who listen to my channel, should I just use my regular name Lee instead of using Pimpy? Overwhelmingly, and I mean not by a little bit, we're talking like 92, 93% of the people who listen to my channel said, no, don't change it. We like the name Pimpy. But I get where you're coming from. Iraqi dinar revaluation. Investment expert analyzes militiaman and crew. Yeah, this is going to be brutal.
Yep, it was. And this one will be too.
Nah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't brutal at all. And I'm not talking about the one against militiaman. That was brutal, but I enjoy it. But as far as the one against me, no, it's not brutal. Let's continue.
As a big proponent of free speech, I'm totally on board with people expressing alternate opinions of anything I say. But I hope they know that when they do, they're opening themselves up to a response. He and I are about 80% aligned. And there were a lot of places where he called me a liar or an idiot, but then turned around and said the same thing I just said.
I'm not questioning whether I did that. I don't remember if I did or did not call you an idiot. But that is a term that I use a lot. That is a little harsh. And yeah, a lot of things that you were saying and I'm saying do line up outside of the fact that the people out there in the dinar community are full of crap.
So I won't cover everything, but I do think a lot of his criticisms come from a few fundamental misunderstandings.
Because the things he says about the dinar are always the same thing that these so-called experts say about the dinar.
Well, if all the experts say the same thing, there might be some merit to it.
I said so-called experts. So-called experts.
Well, if all the experts say the same thing, there might be some merit to it. This guy debating me about investments is like someone debating a doctor about whether smoking really causes cancer.
See, this brings up a point that I'm trying to make about the way videos are made. Debating a doctor whether or not smoking causes cancer, there's many ways to look at this. I could say, well, smoking doesn't cause cancer. I know tons and tons and tons of people who smoke marijuana. And I believe in 6,000 years of recorded history, nobody's ever died from cancer from just smoking marijuana. Do you see the point I'm trying to make here? There are details in your point that you're missing. I get what you're saying. Does smoking cause cancer? Yeah, if you smoke cigarettes or tobacco products. But there are more than one type of smoking. There's people out there who just smoke marijuana and none of that causes cancer. See where I'm going with this?
Here we go. The Iraqi dinar revaluation. It's never gonna happen.
Okay, right from the jump street, for him to say it's never going to happen is false. We've seen it devalued, revalued over the past couple of years. He's got to be more specific.
No one is buying the Iraqi dinar because they think it'll go up 10%. That's literally not even enough to cover the fees to buy and sell it. When people refer to the dinar revaluation, they're referring to a significant revaluation that would make people rich overnight.
There are some of us out there who know that it's not going to happen overnight, but generally speaking, he is correct. There are people out there who are told, be prepared, this thing's going to be reinstated. So there is a difference between something that's reinstated and something that is revalued. But to say that the Iraqi dinar is never going to increase in value is absolutely false. You say it's never going to happen. You mean it's never going to happen the way these gurus are lying to people, misleading them, claiming that this thing is going to happen overnight. Yeah, that's an argument I've been making now for years, that these so-called gurus are misleading people into believing that this is going to happen overnight. And in my opinion, it's just going to happen in increments, small over time.
And by the way, I was more specific about this. It is physically impossible for a currency to revalue up significantly overnight. Now, if you want to understand why, I would encourage you to check out my Currency Pro playlist, specifically video number 9 of the 10-part series. But here's where his lack of investment knowledge really starts to show.
I think what he's trying to say is the Iraqi dinar is not going to have its rate reinstated.
Yes, we are saying the same thing, but I'm not saying reinstated because that's not actually a real investment term. I know some in the dinar community say that, but the currency valuation is not on some temporary penalty rate or something. Its value declined massively because of overprinting during the war, and the value it was in the past is totally irrelevant to the value it will be in the future.
The United States devalued both Kuwait and the Iraqi dinar overnight. They devalued them. One was for protection. They devalued the Kuwait dinar because Iraq stole a lot of it, and the Iraqi dinar was devalued overnight as punishment for their invasion into Kuwait. You can't just go from a 322 rate down to 4,000 dinars per dollar overnight and just go, oh, that's from printing. That's not what it was from. There are videos out there that I've done that shows you that this is what happened. Kuwait's currency was devalued for protection and Iraqi dinar for punishment. So that statement I made is actually correct. But I appreciate your insight.
It's literally not even the same currency that had about a $3 valuation. It was demonetized and replaced. But I digress.
We're literally saying the same thing.
But then turned around and said the same thing I just said.
Yeah, same thing. And then you turn around and say the same thing that I just said. Something tells me we're a little bit more aligned than 80%.
The main lesson here is that when pegged currencies have their target value changed up or down versus the reference currency, aka what they're pegged to, it's called devaluation or revaluation. There is no such thing as currency reinstatement. Here's another good one. Currencies are driven by supply and demand. A redistribution of oil wealth in the country could theoretically be good for the people of Iraq, but it would not drive more demand for the dinar, and that is what drives currencies.
I literally did a video out there talking about the things that would help the Iraqi dinar increase in value. This is more to the point that I'm trying to make. Look, I'm not foolish enough to think that this guy's going to take the time to watch all my videos, but that's the whole problem with this. I made plenty of videos out there going through all the steps Iraq would have to take in order for their currency to increase in value, including talking about supply and demand. With everything being the way they are at this present moment, no, there's not a huge demand for the Iraqi dinar, especially since they have dual currencies going on within the country. Now, we know the first of 2024, they're no longer going to use the US dollar in country. That does put more demand on the Iraqi dinar. Their trades are no longer going to be in US dollar. They're going to start using the Iraqi dinar. So if you're talking about supply and demand, the demand for the dollar is going to decrease and the demand for the Iraqi dinar is going to increase. So we are saying the same thing. The issue is this isn't his area that he's focusing on, the Iraqi dinar. So is he really paying attention to everything that's going on politically? Is he paying attention to everything that's going on economically in Iraq to make these statements? Most of the time when these people make these videos, they're not. So I appreciate the fact that you keep telling everybody you're a financial investor, but when I say you need to be more honest about this, I guess that does sound like I'm saying you're a liar, but I get it. In my opinion, what you should say is, look, it's not that it can't go up, but these are the things that need to happen in order for the Iraqi dinar to increase in value. In my channel, we're grounded. In my channel, I do my best to educate people. I talk about supply and demand. I talk about trying to make a comparison to the Kuwait dinar. I talk about what it takes for Iraq to get back on the Forex. I talk about the things that are needed by Iraq in order for the dinar to increase in value. I mean, all those things I do videos on. But I get it. You're not going to take the time to watch all my videos, and I'm not foolish enough to think that you will. But you're not saying anything that I didn't already say before. The issue is they're using US dollars for oil transactions. If Iraq was smart, they would start doing business in Iraqi dinars, not the United States dollars.
No. The issue is that what Pimpy is suggesting is totally unrealistic because he doesn't understand how oil markets work. Iraq and basically every other oil producer in the world sells their oil in dollars.
Somebody's not paying attention to what's going on in the news. Again, come on, you're a professional. Are you not paying attention to what's going on with OPEC? How they're now using Chinese yuan for oil sales? How Saudi Arabia is opening the doors for other countries to use their local currency and get away from the US dollar? Do you see what I'm talking about? The difference between somebody who does not focus on the Iraqi dinar versus somebody who does focus on the Iraqi dinar. I can understand why he doesn't agree with what I'm saying about the Iraqi dinar because he has not studied the Iraqi dinar. Big difference. So let's back up a little and hear it again.
No. The issue is that what Pimpy is suggesting is totally unrealistic because he doesn't understand how oil markets work. Iraq and basically every other oil producer in the world sells their oil in dollars. And neither is because they're not smart enough to do it in their own currency, like he suggests. First, no other company or country wants to hold dinars as reserves, which they'd have to do in order to buy oil shipments in dinars.
I believe we've seen how many countries recently start doing currency swaps with the Iraqi dinar? Just throwing that out there.
Dinar is not nearly stable enough, liquid enough, or freely convertible enough to hold as a reserve. For this exact same reason, Iraq needs dollars to pay for imports because no one will want to accept dinars. So it's not the end of the world that they sell their oil for dollars.
I believe Turkey just made an agreement that, what was the agreement, you guys? For those of you who are in the dinar community, well, that Turkey can do trade with Iraq and they can use their own local currency, the lira. Iraq can buy goods from over in Turkey and they can use their own currency, the Iraqi dinar. And each bank has already done a currency swap where they can settle the matter later on. So to say that people won't hold the Iraqi dinar in the reserves, come on, professional. Have you not really been listening to the news lately? A lot has changed. A lot has changed, which makes more to my point that the Iraqi dinar will go up in value.
You don't just walk into a store to buy oil like you're buying a pack of gum at the gas station. You buy it on the futures market. The vast majority of futures and other derivative contracts based on oil are priced in dollars. So unless a buyer wants to negotiate some sort of one-off discounted rate like countries are doing with Russia right now, or they want to settle the trades in UN where they'll have trouble converting it back into their own currency, they're going to use the widely available derivative contracts, which are priced in dollars.
I'm aware of that. I get where you're coming from. I don't disagree. Seriously. But I could tell you really haven't been paying attention to what's going on in the world. There's a lot of countries that are what? Come on, everybody in the dinar community. De-dollarizing. What does that mean for the dollar?
No one would buy oil in dinars. And here's another place where he misrepresents what I said.
The dinar is not a scam. It's a legitimate currency. Can it increase in value? Of course it could.
I never said it couldn't.
You literally said the Iraqi dinar will never, ever increase in value.
The Iraqi dinar revaluation. It's never gonna happen.
What did you say?
It's never gonna happen.
Maybe I misunderstood you.
The Iraqi dinar revaluation. It's never gonna happen. And here's another place where he misrepresents what I said.
Yeah, see, I didn't misrepresent what you said. You said it's never going to happen. But I already know what you're going to say. No, you were generally speaking talking about the 4,000 time increase. To say that's never going to happen, I was trying to make a point that that's false. It can happen. As far as a 4,000 time increase overnight, you and I are on the same page. We both don't believe that's going to happen overnight. But there is a scenario in which that can happen. They're talking about the project to delete the zeros off the dinars. There is a scenario in which they can do the deletion of the 3 zeros off their currency and then turn around and revalue it back at the old rate. So a 25,000 dinar can turn around and become a 25 dinar and then increase the rate. That's a scenario that's realistic out there.
I never said it couldn't. I'm just saying it can't revalue up 1,000x overnight, and the odds of it appreciating at all, based on fundamental analysis, are very low. I also never said the Iraqi dinar itself was a scam. The dinar is just a currency, but it is the basis for a common scam. Scammers mislead people to believe that the Iraqi dinar is about to revalue significantly and make them rich overnight.
You're talking about a 4,000% increase, not one, but I hear you.
They're about to exit some sort of unspoken Chapter 7 UN sanction, which militiaman guesses has something to do with the currency. Well, unspoken and can't find any data on it means it doesn't exist.
No, I did a video about that as well. They have been out of Chapter 7 for a while, but the part that was the issue was the sanctions on the currency.
Yes, I literally showed a source from the UN that confirms what I'm saying. If he wants to disagree, he's going to need to provide some concrete evidence. You can see from the UN's website.
And right here, you're proving the point. Look at 2013 to remove Iraq from Chapter 7 sanctions. But if you go in, what you'll find right now is that Iraq currency is still under sanctions.
Website, that in reality, all Chapter 7 UN sanctions were removed in 2013, more than 10 years ago. There was also a part of the video where I said, there's also a parallel black market rate in Iraq, which was at $15.60 per dollar as of early October. Why would a currency trade at a lower valuation on the black market? It's because everyone in Iraq knows the dinar is likely to devalue at some point.
No. Look, we know there's a lot of countries like Iran who are under sanctions. They get paid in Iraqi dinars for some trades. They're willing to trade those Iraqi dinars. They're willing to give people more Iraqi dinars for US dollars just to get their hands on the US dollars. And yes, one could say, well, but they have no faith in Iraqi dinar. That's why they're willing to give up more Iraqi dinars for US dollars. That's fine. But the truth of the matter is there are countries out there who are under sanctions by the US who want to get their hands on US dollars, or the United States would stop trying to penalize Iraq for laundering US dollars to these sanctioned countries. That's how big of an issue it is. So are sanctioned countries willing to give you more dinars just to get their hands on the US dollars? Yes, they've already been busted doing it several times. And it's not just Iran that do this. He said I was wrong, but again, it's just because he doesn't fully understand how currencies work. Well, first of all, only one country uses the Iraqi dinar, so I'm not sure which other countries he's referring to. Again, this is what happens when you have somebody who literally specializes in the Iraqi dinar versus somebody who is an investor and means well, and somebody who's trying to warn you about these scammers out there making content for the Iraqi dinar. I get it. Have you really studied the Iraqi dinar? Are you really involved with the politics and the economics involved with the Iraqi dinar? Because everything you're saying, I understand. But the points you're trying to make have changed. There's a lot of countries over there in the Middle East, including Saudi Arabia, part of OPEC, and Iraq, who are getting away from the dollar. So to say that they'll never trade oil in any other currency than the US dollar is wrong. Absolutely wrong. Saudi Arabia, like I stated earlier, is trading oil for the yuan. Come on, buddy.
So I struggle to see how you could justify high demand for it based on being more acceptable in Iraq than the dinar.
Think about this. If I am in Iraq, do I want 1,310 dinars for every dollar? Or do I want the 1,550 dinars for every dollar?
Right. So exactly what I said. He's saying people want more dinars to give up $1. I'm saying people will pay more dinars to get $1. We're both just saying there's a different exchange rate in Iraq where the dinar is less valuable than it is at the official rate.
In reality, no one wants to accept the dinar, so they'll have to pay in dollars for everything anyway.
Not true. Iran, who did $11 billion in trade with Iraq, was willing to start using the Iraqi dinar as their official currency at one time. I think it was like in 2018, 2019.
Oh, Pimpy, my bad, man. Iran, who was banned from the international dollar-based system in 2018, considered accepting something other than the dollar.
Not other than the dollar. They wanted a currency they can use that was more valuable than their own. So yeah, it is your bad, but look, it's not that big of a deal, man.
Great example.
So to say that nobody would accept it is false. We know right now we have what? How many banks? 5 banks right now who are doing currency swaps with Iraq so they can start doing international trade. So that's not accurate what this man's saying.
No, it's pretty accurate. Every country has banks that will do currency swaps in dollars. There's nothing new about this, nor is this unique to Iraq. You know who accepts Iraqi dinars? Iraqi companies. They sell products in dinars and pay their employees in dinars, but pay for imports in dollars and sell exports for dollars.
Central bank boosts tens of millions of euros as initial payment to cover imports from Turkey, not US dollars, euros. You see, Turkey and Iraq have made an agreement. Banking agreements with Turkey begins to be implemented. The government source reported on Tuesday the start of implementation of the banking agreements with Turkey from last Sunday. The central bank has boosted tens of millions of euros as the initial payment to cover imports for retailers from Turkey. This came through the Iraqi traders paying the Iraqi dinars and the central bank strengthening in euros. This is what I'm talking about. It isn't done in dollars. It's being done in euros, liras, and dinars. So essentially, the agreement between Turkey and Iraq is in their currencies. No US dollars in there whatsoever. And it's not just Turkey. The UAE is doing this along with China and Japan. So there's more than just this one country, and it's not US dollars. They're getting away from the US dollar the 1st of 2024. He pointed out that the agreement provided for an organization of trade exchange for small traders and retailers, dinars against a euro or Turkish lira, under arrangements with combined remittances according to the commercial regulations that guarantee the integrated cycle of the trade process, depositing in dinars inside Iraq, payment in euros or liras in Turkey to ship goods from Turkey to Iraq. I get it. You're not spending all your time all day long studying what's going on with the Iraqi dinar, but you're missing a huge chunk of news you might not be familiar with. Who are doing currency swaps with Iraq so they can start doing international trade? So that's not accurate what this man's saying.
No, it's pretty accurate. Every country has banks that will do currency swaps in dollars. There's nothing new about this, nor is this unique to Iraq. You know who accepts Iraqi dinars? Iraqi companies. They sell products in dinars and pay their employees in dinars, but pay for imports in dollars and sell exports for dollars.
My bad, bro. I get it. You don't study the dinar.
Now, how do they convert their dinars into dollars to buy imports to run their business? With these swap lines at the banks. How do they convert the dollars they earn from exports into dinars to pay for employees? The same swap lines at the banks. That has nothing to do with other countries accepting the Iraqi dinar for anything.
I just showed you that it does.
But how will they get them to invest? Apparently, they're trying to pass an Iraqi Securities Commission law that would increase the purchase limit, allowing investors to buy up to 49% of the shares in Iraqi companies. Now, some people who have no idea how investing works thinks that will entice people to invest because they'll be able to own larger shares of companies. But there's just one problem. No one wants to buy any shares of Iraqi companies. That's like saying, hey bro, do you want to buy a jar of olives? And the guy's like, no, I don't like olives. And then you're like, okay, well then how about 10 jars of olives? I struggle to see why increasing a limit that no one is running up against would make any shred of difference.
Now, again, here we go. Let's be honest there, Mr. Financial Guy. My bad. I get what you're saying. I'm calling you a liar and you're dishonest. It's generally speaking, yeah, I guess I did, but the way you word it sounds so much harsh than the way I'm wording it. Yes, Iraq is having problems bringing in foreign investors, but if they can get their act together, the big word in there is if, they could draw foreign investors to come in, and this would be a major step towards increasing the value of the Iraqi dinar. This is the part that I don't like about his video.
Now, despite him calling me dishonest and misleading, I think we agree on this one. He just wants me to be more pro-dinar. Well, let me clarify.
Not pro-dinar. Not pro-dinar. You don't have to be pro or anti-dinar. What I'm saying to you is, with your knowledge and expertise in investing, if you say something's not going to happen, explain more why it's not. Or if you're saying something is going to happen, you would take the time to explain, in your opinion, why it is. Just making general statements leaves everything open for misinterpretation. Do you see where I'm going with this?
I never said I want to be good for the dinar if they attracted a lot more foreign investors. What I said was increasing the ownership limit to 49% will not help do that, in contrast to the misleading statements that Militiaman made. Pimpy's statements about them getting their act together are right, in principle, but there's a difference between fantasy and reality. They could definitely make some changes, diversify their economy. There are a lot of things they could do to improve their long-term outlook. The problem is they're not doing any of those things.
But see, they are. That's the difference between the two of us. I do videos every day, practically, about the Iraqi dinar. So I'm constantly reading the news and seeing the changes happen. By the way you're talking, I could tell you're not studying the Iraqi dinar, and I understand it. You got better things to do. Don't get me wrong. But I think that's where the bumping of heads happens in these videos between you and I. I think for the most part, we agree on more than 80%. I will be bold enough to say maybe 90%. And another percentage of it, we're saying the same thing. It's just not coming across that way. So I just wanted to respond to this video. We don't need to keep going on and on about this. But here's the thing. I did send him my email. What I was hoping he would do is reach out to me. We could just have a general conversation and have him come on board. I can go on his or he can come on mine and just have a general conversation about the Iraqi dinar, because I understand where he's coming from. I do. That was my overall consensus when I first got there. Until you start seeing the changes that are taking place, both in Iraq and outside of Iraq, that affect the Iraqi dinar.
You could get a 4.75% return on a 20-year treasury bond right now and guarantee yourself a much better return than that.
I would not be encouraging people to go to bonds right now, especially in the market. Nobody's buying them. Literally, nobody is buying them. And as a matter of fact, they're dumping it. So, but I get your point.
I want to thank Pimpy from the Other Side of Things channel for the interaction. It's been fun, and I hope we can do it again sometime.
Look, the truth of the matter is, I like the guy, man. That's the truth. And I like what he has to say. And I get where he's coming from. But we are talking in general statements. I'm dealing with the Iraqi dinar every day for years. And I understand he's probably got more better things to do than screw around with the Iraqi dinar. There have been a ton of changes that are taking place right now with Iraq, including doing trade in their own currency and not just the US dollar. These things all contribute to the increase in value of the Iraqi dinar. So in return, I do want to say I appreciate Kyle doing this back and forth. It's healthy for people, in my opinion, to hear two individuals having a respectful debate about something. Allows people to hear two sides of a situation. Although we are taking pop shots at one another, it's done, in my opinion, in a fun way. I will leave a link to his channel, Fundamentals of Finance, and you can come here and listen to his videos. But for me, even more enjoyable is his videos on these YouTube gurus. I see he just released one on Frank. I'm absolutely positively looking forward to listening to. Anyways, that's it for now. I appreciate you guys chiming in. I'll get back at you later. I'm out.